A very good morning to all of you and a very happy Diwali to everyone. ठीक है, अभी भी आप लोग क्लास देख रहे हैं? चलिए कोई नहीं, फाइन है, दिवाली तो हर साल है. चलिए, so let us begin. The first thing that we have to deal with is Composite Water Management. Yes, Composite Water Management Index. So few things you need to remember about this. It is published by which body? Niti Aayog. Prelims level fact. I told you often they ask that which report is published by whom. So you need to remember that Niti Aayog publishes Composite Water Management Index. It was introduced around 5 years ago. Not very important. Just remember Niti Aayog introduced it. Niti Aayog has reportedly designated the report for state water management progress for this year for internal use. Means before 2018, the Niti Aayog was publishing this report for public view. Anyone can view this, but now it is only for internal use of the government. It is not available for public view basically. Why they have done this, इसका कोई reason तो नहीं दिया उन्होंने, but as far as I can believe, maybe bad publicity, because some states who are not very well progressing in this, it become a point of criticism. But I have always told you, if you are hiding data, it's very bad. Whatever kind of data you have, whether good or bad, you must publish it. If it's bad data, then people will get to know and they will create pressure on the government to take measures. If you will not publish data, then what will happen? Somebody will publish data. मान लेते हैं some foreign agency will publish a data on water management in India. Then you will cry it out कि भाई it is a foreign conspiracy. Why you are leaving the space for them? Come in. Why you are leaving space for them? Make your indicator so that nobody can blame you for something. अब क्या होगा? You are not publishing this. Somebody will publish. You are like, it is foreign propaganda. Which maybe, I have told you, whatever we do from a perspective. जैसे for example, a person born in America will be always biased for liberal values. A person born in China may be biased for communist values. So that person, if मान लेते हैं tomorrow China publishes a report on good governance, so they will give preference to the state governance. If a report is published by America on good governance, on which thing they will give preference? State governance or private governance? Private governance. सबको समझ में? It always depends from which scenario. It always depends from which scenario you are dealing with. So every report, every survey is always biased in terms of value of the person who created the survey. Just select those indicators. So why you are leaving this space? So there is no clear classification or there is no clear justification why they have done this. But we know this, that from now on, Niti Aayog publishes Composite Water Management Index, but it is not available in public view. It is for internal consumption of the government. Okay, please remember that. Now, let us see what it has, the previous surveys which were published, what they are talking about. India is experiencing severe water crisis with significant economic, livelihood, and ecological consequences. And we know already this, we have discussed this multiple times. I hope you remember Green Revolution and side effects. मैंने को बताया था Green Revolution में we introduced HYV seeds, high yield variety. Understand, they are variety, not hybrids. So मान लेते हैं prelims में there is a question. Consider following statement about HYV seeds. First point is they are a hybrid variety of a crop. Wrong. Hybrid is different, variety is different. So these are varieties, not hybrid crops. Hybrid crops are different crops. So please remember this. These are varieties only, not hybrids. What is the prime difference between hybrids and variety? That science and tech में आप पढ़ेंगे. मुझे इतना idea नहीं है science and tech का, but इतना मुझे पता है कि both are different. So do not confuse them. ठीक है, तो what was the problem when we introduced HYV seeds? They require two things compulsorily: irrigation and fertilizers. Fertilizers, so you can purchase from the market, but then you have irrigation. India में there is a problem. We carry out flood irrigation. We basically flood the entire farm. So you put a seed, HYV seed, then you apply fertilizer, and then you are doing flood irrigation. Because of this, a large amount of water is not absorbed by the crops. It runs off, polluting the lakes and whatever you have, and also it penetrates inside the earth, leading to eutrophication of lakes. Eutrophication means overloaded nutrients. What happens with overloading of nutrients? As nutrients become very large, algae develops over the surface. आपने देखा होगा ना, the greenish kind of algae. They are different kind of algae. So algae develop over the surface. It cuts off the sun rays getting into the water body, and so the plants, water plants, are unable to generate oxygen in the water, and so all the species within the water dies. This is called eutrophication. सबको समझ आया? It is eutrophication. So because of this drama, we are leading to eutrophication of lake. The lakes in India are dying at rapid pace. Plus to that, you are using flood irrigation that leads to penetration of water inside the ground, polluting your groundwater as well. Same source ko you are tapping for two purposes. First, you are extracting water for irrigation. Same source you are tapping for drinking water. Because of this, you are having a polluted drinking water. That's why this statement is there. India is facing a severe water crisis with significant economic because the crops are failing. For example, Punjab Haryana has increasingly, the soil in Punjab Haryana is becoming arid soil, jabki wo arid hai nahi. Punjab and Haryana has an abundant river system, that too perennial rivers coming from Himalayas. There are two kind of river, perennial and temporary one, which seasonal rivers, which have water on season and do not have water for remaining time. All Himalayan rivers are perennial rivers. They have water for always. And for example, Indus water system, it goes from Punjab and Haryana, particularly the Panchnad they call it. Satluj, Beas, Jhelum and all, Rabi and all. Indus system ka. In spite of having perennial rivers, Punjab and Haryana is developing arid soils. Why they are developing arid soil? Same reason. They are doing excessive fertilizers use, and that is an economic disaster. It is also using ecological disaster. You are killing species in lakes and you are killing diversity around the country, and livelihood question. If the soil become bad, then you may not be able to sustain your livelihood. मान लेते this year you grow a good crop. If soil is getting bad, so next year crop is no guarantee whether that crop will survive in the current conditions or not. That's why this report is listing India is facing a severe water crisis. That's why it is often said. I think we have done this earlier also. MS Swaminathan का जब मैंने करवाया था, मैं समझाया था. MS Swaminathan has given a concept known as forever agriculture or evergreen revolution. One is green revolution that we witnessed in 1960s, 70s. But he's talking about evergreen revolution. Evergreen revolution means sustainable agriculture. Not only food production, but also keeping care of ecology, environment, health and everything. ठीक है, please remember that. जल्दी से देखते हैं. India has around 18% of world population. You know that India is now the most populous country on earth. We have surpassed China, and we have only 4% of fresh water resources. So this is a good point you need to remember. ये directly नहीं पूछेगा कोई, but in mains when you are making arguments, तब आप इसका इस्तेमाल करेंगे. India has 18% of around population of the world, and it has only 4% of water resources. Over 82 crore people. मतलब कितना हो गया? लगभग 1/3 से भी ज्यादा. Over 82 crore people in India lives in per capita water, where per capita water availability is less than 1000 metric cube. It is a threshold of water scarcity. Means that majority of India is living in areas where there is scarcely available drinking water. Availability of water and availability of drinking water, two different things. For example, 74% of earth is water, but it is not a drinkable water. It's ocean water, which is not drinkable. You have only 1% of entire water on earth that is drinkable water. And majority of that is in glaciers, frozen Arctic Circle and Antarctic Circle, basically. Okay? Approximately 60% of India's population resides in Ganges River Basin, responsible for nearly 40% of country's GDP. Means the Ganga river system is the backbone of India's economic, particularly agriculture economic system. Now Ganga is witnessing unprecedented low water level in recent summer season. Why it is happening? Numerous reasons. First is over-exploitation of river water. Second, construction of unnecessary dams and diversion of water for industrial purposes. Most important thing is climate change. Climate change, आपको पता है, what is climate change? Erratic weather. Climate change का मतलब होता है when you have erratic weather which you cannot predict. And nowadays you are seeing now you have severe cold wave and then you have severe hot wave. We have extreme events. This is the problem with climate change. And again, remember, we are worrying about climate change not for the earth, but for ourselves. Because climate change will impact us more. Narrow ecology, it is called. Okay, remember that. India has annual utilization of water resources around 690 billion cubic meter, and from surface water and 4 something itna. So absolute figure do not remember, but remember which is the largest source of drinkable or utilizable water in India? Surface water. We use more surface water than groundwater. This thing you need to remember. You go, because UPSC plays in language. They will write in prelims a point that majority of India's water utilization is through groundwater, and you will be like, हाँ ये तो सही बात है, because green revolution में हमने बात समझी थी. Agriculture different है. We are talking about overall utilization. Agriculture में तो majority of the water is groundwater. If agriculture लिखा है उसमें, in agriculture majority of the water used is from groundwater, but overall use में surface water is more than groundwater. ठीक है? Please remember this point. Despite possessing surface water resources, I told you perennial rivers we have good groundwater, nearly 62% of irrigation, 85% rural water supply, and 45% of urban water supply. Means our water resource, surface water resource like rivers and groundwaters contribute to majority of irrigation, and most important, majority of rural water supply. Urban में that is not maximum. Urban में तो we have processed water. जैसे दिल्ली जल बोर्ड प्रोवाइड्स इन दिल्ली, इट्स द प्रोसेस्ड वाटर व्हिच इज प्रोसेस्ड. ये डायरेक्ट सोर्सेज की बात हो रही है. क्लियर? सो ऑल पॉइंट्स व्हिच आर लिस्टेड इन दिस कॉलम और व्हाटएवर इट इज, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, रिमेंबर देम. और इसके लिए मैंने आपको समझाया भी था, व्हाट यू कैन डू इज यू कैन मेक अ सेपरेट बुक ऑफ फैक्ट्स apart from your class notes which you need to update from current affairs and test series. You have to make separate books also, narrow books. One book for facts and concepts, because you often forget the name of scholars, you often forget the name of who gave the concept. तो उसके लिए क्या करना है, you have to maintain a separate book, उसमें chapter wise लिख लीजिएगा. For example, you will write polity, all the scholars that you have witnessed in polity, write their name, put a arrow and concept name only, no details. इससे क्या होगा, you have a concise book which you can revise. Same you have to do for definitions. Definitions comes handy in mains introduction chapter. Sorry, introduction part. When you have to write a mains answer, you have to write introduction. Introduction में you need definitions. आपके पास होती ही नहीं है. उसके लिए what you have to do is make a separate thin book in which you will write scholars, arrow, concepts. Second, you will write definition, one-liner definition, which will help you to write good introduction. And second book you have to make for facts, particularly from geography and economics. इतना geography economics में सबसे ज्यादा facts होते हैं, पॉलिटी में तो इतना नहीं होता, पॉलिटी में concepts ज्यादा होते हैं. तो उसके लिए if you make a separate book, तो उससे फायदा क्या है, notes तो you are revising, but that separate narrow book you can revisit any time to refresh your content. और उसे अभी नहीं पढ़ना, कब पढ़ना है उस फैक्ट को, लास्ट मूवमेंट में, बिकॉज आप भूल जाओगे. जैसे मान लेते हैं अभी आपने रट लिया कि फॉर एग्जांपल 85% रूरल वाटर कम फ्रॉम सरफेस एंड ग्राउंड, भूल जाओगे कल तक. तो बेस्ट इज whenever you find such fact, write them in a book, narrow book, and use that 2 months before the prelims. 2 months before the prelims से पहले टच मत करना, because there is no point. उससे पहले revise your classroom content or whatever magazine, whatever you're reading. This factual data you must remember, like articles of the constitution, these factual data, geographical position and all, 2 months before the prelims. Learn that every day 2 hours maximum, and by the time prelims will come, you will already have this data. और कुछ दिनों में भूल भी जाओगे. आप देखते हैं आर्टिकल याद करना बहुत मुश्किल पड़ता है, इसीलिए पड़ता है, तो क्यों टाइम वेस्ट करना. हम भी कई बार आर्टिकल भूल जाते हैं. सबको समझ में आ रहा है? यू हैव टू कीप दैट इन अ सेपरेट बुक व्हिच यू कैन रिवाइज एनी टाइम यू वांट, बट प्रेफरेबली 2 months बिफोर prelims. I told you inefficient cropping pattern, that rice wheat because of green revolution. ठीक है, especially cultivation of water intensive crop. आपको पता है sugar cane and paddy means rice. Sugar cane and paddy we are producing, particularly Punjab, Haryana is a victim of this, and this is all because of green revolution. Next, India's international trade in water intensive crops such as basmati rice contribute to significant virtual water loss. So the biggest reason for India's water loss is irrigation. The biggest source of pollution of water is irrigation based agriculture. So इसके लिए what we need to do, we need to move to better mechanism of irrigations, like a sprinkler irrigation. आपने देखा ना, for example gardens में जो आपने देखे हैं, gardens में you have seen that sprinklers are working everywhere. उस तरह के sprinklers, or maybe drip irrigation. Drip mein you have to lay a complex network of piping system which delivers drops directly to the roots. It is efficient, it is productive also, or it does not have ecological disaster. The question is why, then why? Why people are not adopting this? Kyun? Technical knowledge. You're expecting a farmer to lay a complex network of water and piping system, nahi ho payega, because every crop has different arrangement, and for that every time you have to restructure the piping system. मान लेते हैं you grew rice, तो उसके लिए अलग structure बनेगा. Then you are growing wheat और मान लेते हैं some vegetable, उसके लिए अलग structure बनाना पड़ेगा. So every time farmers have to do a lot of work, and they do not prefer this. Add to this, government gives subsidy on electricity. Agriculture electricity पे government gives subsidy. So you have no incentive of doing this. इसलिए suggestion is we should tax water. It will be highly unpopular move, but nonetheless it will bring productivity. So ऐसे करना है, you have to tax water, particularly irrigation water, and from that money you do not keep that money. Give subsidy to piping systems. सबको समझना how we have to do? Tax water so that farmers do not do flood irrigation and do not give agricultural subsidy on electricity. Save that money in a fund and give that subsidy in the form of your piping network system. तो इससे क्या होगा, दोनों का बैलेंस बन जाएगा. That piping system will become cheaper because you're giving heavy subsidy, and you will prevent water also. So you're pushing farmers from flood to drip irrigation. The way government is nowadays pushing from electric and diesel vehicle to petrol and diesel vehicle to electric vehicle, taxing petrol and diesel vehicle more, collecting the money and giving subsidy to electric vehicle. सबको समझ में आया solution? चलिए fine. Let's see about Composite Water Management Index. Niti Aayog introduced this management index. What it does is basically it evaluates states in India. Yes, Indian states. What it does is it highlights which state is doing what in water management, so that the state which are doing worse can improve their rank. And which are the two ministry which helps this? Remember these ministry: Ministry of Jal Shakti and Ministry of Rural Development. So few facts you have to remember for prelims. Pehla, who published this index? Niti Aayog. Second, who are the ministry involved here? Ministry of Jal Shakti and Rural Development. And what it does, it ranks state based on their water management practices. ठीक है, these 3 points. Objective मैंने आपको समझा ही दिया. Importance obviously बात है. What are the indicators used here? देखिए, these are the indicators. 7. The indicators used in Composite Water Management Indexes. It has 7 indicators with 28 indicators with 7 categories, I believe. Yes, 28 indicators. How many indicators are there? 28 indicators with 7 categories. What are the categories? Groundwater, surface water, irrigation, watershed, irrigation management, on-farm water, water supply, and governance. So these are the indicators. Do not rot learn them. Have a rough idea कि कौन सा parameters में नहीं है. ठीक है? Have a rough idea. चलिए, categorizing state. How the states are categorized under this index? States are categorized into 3 categories: non-Himalayan states, northeastern and Himalayan state, and lastly union territory. Why this category? If you have done classroom program economy में we do a chapter of fiscal policy. So fiscal policy में I often talk about central sector schemes, and second thing we talk about known as special states. This was a category which was given earlier. Special state means if you get the category of special states, the union government give extra revenue. And special state like Bihar, UP have been there. Bihar is currently demanding special category state, special state category. But Modi government has abolished this category. Now rather than using the word special states, they use the word Northeast and Himalayan states. 8 northern states and आपकी वो 2 जो है क्या नाम है इसका, उत्तराखंड and हिमाचल प्रदेश and जम्मू कश्मीर. 3 states there. 8 northeastern, the 7 sister plus Sikkim, and the remaining one. These are called as northeastern and Himalayan states. They are given special privileges. Why? Because understand, Himalayan states पे you cannot have industries. बन ही नहीं सकती. Himalayan states survives only on tourism. वहाँ पे इंडस्ट्री बनाना is virtually impossible because these are ecologically sensitive zones and that too prone to earthquake system. So if you are making a factory there, you are polluting environment too much. Himalayan पे बनाना ही मुश्किल है और बनाना allowed भी नहीं under your regulations on environment, particularly Environment Protection Act. If you remember previous class when we discussed these acts, Wildlife Protection Act, Environment Protection Act, we discussed. चलिए fine, ठीक है, please remember these categories. Now next news is with respect to Central Information Commission. Actually what happened recently, this is polity and governance, primarily governance news. Previous one was economics. Economics में मैंने आपको एक चीज बताई थी, always remember. UPSC mains में it asks questions from agriculture, food processing and animal husbandry, which are equal to remaining economics. All the 11-12 chapter of economics on one side and 3 chapters, agriculture, food processing and animal husbandry on one side, have equal weightage. So never, if there is anything new about agriculture in India, never miss it. Okay, please remember, very, very important about agriculture. Next is Central Information Commission. It is with respect to your governance. Recently, this Hira Lal summary है जो भी है, ठीक है, this person has been appointed as the Chief Commissioner of Central Information Commission. What is the problem here? The problem here is, we will discuss remaining problem. First problem is, तो देखने से पहले composition नहीं कहाँ गया? This commission has been made under something called Right to Information Act. Very, very, very important law. I have told you multiple times, you do not require strongmen to bring the अच्छे दिन. All you require is independent institutions. Independent institutions serves people. Dependent institutions serves government. And then government manipulate them according to their desires. I always take the example of demonetization. Demonetization was an utter disaster. Government को पता है ये बात. But if मान लेते हैं, if RBI during that time would have a person in governor of RBI, if that person would have a spine, he would have resisted that time. जैसे रघुराम राजन did. मैंने आपको बताया था, Modi government was thinking of doing demonetization since 2014. But Raghuram Rajan was the RBI governor. And he was vehemently opposed to demonetization. He said this in an interview. The government of India sent me memo number of times that we are thinking of demonetization. He said, I replied clearly, don't do this stupid thing. It will bring no benefit. So they waited for Raghuram Rajan to go. As soon as Raghuram Rajan went out of RBI governor, Urjil Patel became the governor. Turant demonetization. This is the problem. If Raghuram Rajan would be RBI governor, he would have never allowed demonetization. That is what independent institutions are. Independent institution serves a check on power, because powerful व्यक्ति के साथ क्या होता है? Powerful व्यक्ति, the way we all try to have self-interest. Even a powerful person has a self-interest, but the problem is that powerful person carry out self-interest with brutality, caring about no one. सबको समझ में आया? Very important. Independent institutions are very, very important for anything under the sun you can imagine. Ranging from your social issue to economic issue to political issue. Any issue you can imagine. If you have independent institution there, you have a first-class governance. For a very good example, SEBI, Securities and Exchange Board of India. It regulates share market. It is considered as the best regulator in India. Best among the worst कहना चाहिए हमें, because recent में Adani case में it has attracted some criticism. Otherwise, it has very good reputation. Who brought Sharda scam to the world? SEBI brought. Sharda scam came to the world because SEBI was their independent institution. अगर वो नहीं होती तो nobody would have known कि what Sharda was doing. सबको समझ में आया? Please remember this. In this context, it is important. And RTI को second ARC, second Administrative Reforms Commission, मैंने आपको पहले ही बताया था, it's an important commission for governance, but it is outdated commission. So मर्जी है, if you want to read it, I would suggest there is no point as of now, because it is too old. 2005 की commission है ये. So the report that it has given, the issues that it has highlighted are no longer there. In these years from 2005 to 2023, they have changed a lot. So इसकी जो reports में जो issues highlight किए हैं, the recommendations, some are still there, but majority of its recommendations are no longer useful nowadays. तो old report है, तो इसमें all you do is read a summary. Detail मत पढ़ना, कोई summary, you Google second ARC summary. You will get so many institutes, they have created summary of this report. पढ़ लेना थोड़ी सी, ठीक है, but not very important one as of now, because it is too old a report. Clear? But nonetheless, it has said that RTI is master key to good governance. It has said that RTI, right to information, is a master key to good governance, and it is indeed the master key. Because if you know what the government is doing, if you know the internal functioning of the government fears you. They will not do anything that runs contrary to your interest. If you remember, we discussed socialism, capitalism and all. तब मैंने आपको समझाया था the so-called liberal democracies that we live in these democracies, the government is controlled by capitalists. So capitalists twist the government for their favors. Then who will take care of your favors? Who will take care of your favors? These kind of laws, just like independent institutions, empowers you. अब मान लेते हैं district magistrate, DM. That district magistrate, for example, is not issuing you a caste certificate. You have to apply UPSC exam. It is 2 months later. So what you can do? अब कोई grievance redressal है ही नहीं सरकार में. If Government of India brought citizen charter will be a kind of page outside every government office. In that they will write what services this office provide, in what time frame, who is responsible, and if they do not provide, whom you can complain. A very good mechanism. If you really want a good government, then you must have a citizen charter. 2011 में Congress government tried, पर वो pass नहीं हुआ. And since then, no government has tried. Why? I have always told you, if there are independent institutions, and if there are laws like this that empowers you rather than bureaucracy, so what happens is the politician lose power over you. What politician promised during election? You vote me in power, I will give you this, I will give you that. They behave like parents. This is what we call paternalistic relationship. They behave like parents. Parents होता ना, you do this, I will give you that वाला scene. This is not how democracies work. ये हमारे साथ होना चाहिए. We should have said, you do this, I will give you the vote. But it happens the way other round. इसके लिए best तरीका क्या है? Have laws that empower you, and that's why second ARC called this master key to good governance. Now that DM is not issuing you a certificate, what you can do? Immediately apply an RTI, because RTI is a legal document and he has to give you a reply within 30 days, maximum limit. So in that RTI, he will have to give an authentic reply. Why? Because you can take that RTI reply in court. So everyone, literally, you can ask any government officer, if they will highlight one point that concerns them the most, they will say RTI. RTI ने जीना हराम कर रखा है. Whatever we do, कोई RTI लगा देता है. Sorry? RTI activist word बोला गया. आजकल people who are becoming activists, who are applying for RTI constantly. चलिए fine. Clear everyone. Very important law for your good governance. अब what was the problem recently में what happened? देखिए, this is the commission. To appoint the chief information commissioner and information commissioner, you have a composite matrix having the prime minister as chairperson, leader of opposition in Lok Sabha, Happy Diwali. You have three things. You have a prime minister, you have leader of opposition of Lok Sabha, and you have union cabinet minister. क्या हुआ जब ये व्यक्ति अपॉइंट किया गया? The leader of opposition in Lok Sabha is right now Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, Congress person. ठीक है, he was not informed. उसे बताया ही नहीं गया कि we are having a meeting to select the chief information commissioner. So what they have done, इस तीन में से ये बंदा था ही नहीं. So basically government has appointed their favorite. ये problem है. This is the problem that I have always told you. Strong men empower themselves and they enslave the people. सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम स्ट्रॉन्ग मैन के साथ क्या होती है? They empower themselves and they enslave the people, but they create a mirage. Whatever I am doing for you only. इसको क्यों नहीं बुलाया भाई? The reason is, if they call LOP, then of course he would have created opposition. उसके नाम पे कुछ ना कुछ वो करता, and he may have given a written note of dissent. Appointment फिर भी हो जाता. Understand this. because in these three people, if two people support one person, appointment can be carried out. But nonetheless, there would be a dissent note. That dissent note can be used by civil society for carrying out comprehensive criticism of current information commissioner. और एक और चीज याद रखिएगा, government has appointed this information commission after Supreme Court said this. They came out very strong on the government. They were like, why you are not appointing these people? You are basically nullifying right to information. By right to information, you can apply for information. If that person does not give, the simple process is you apply to information to known as public information officer. Within 30 days, that officer must give a reply. If they do not give a reply, you can apply to senior of PIO, senior PIO. If that person does not give a reply within 30 days, you can apply to Central Information Commission or State Information Commission. What has been happening is they are not appointing the chair members of CIC and IC. तो इससे नुकसान क्या हो रहा था? If you are appealing here, कोई है ही नहीं वहां पे. So you were nullifying information because you do not want to give information to the people. So recent में तभी appointment हुआ है. Supreme Court came down very heavy on the government when somebody filed a PIL in the Supreme Court asking government is not appointing deliberately the commissioners. The Supreme Court came down very heavily. Either you appoint right now or I will appoint. तब सरकार ने इसे अपॉइंट किया है. आफ्टर सुप्रीम कोर्ट की उसमें भी उन्होंने क्या करा, इसे नहीं रखा. ठीक है, तो बेसिकली दिस पर्सन, मैं मानता हूं हो सकता है दिस पर्सन मे बी अ वेरी इंडिपेंडेंट सोल, बट नॉनदलेस अब आपका सिलेक्शन ऐसे तरीके से होगा तो हु विल कंसीडर यू एज एन इंडिपेंडेंट सोल? सबको समझ में आ रहा है? वेरी वेरी बैड थिंग. यू आर क्रिएटिंग अ बैड प्रेसिडेंस कि आप जिंदगी भर सरकार में रहोगे. ठीक है, देयर इज अ वेरी गुड थिंग सेड बाय चार्ली चैपलिन, सो लॉन्ग एज डिक्टेटर डाई लिबर्टी विल नेवर पेरिश. डिक्टेटर एक ही अच्छा काम करते हैं जिंदगी में, वो मर जाते हैं. ठीक है, वो मर जाते हैं तो लिबर्टी बच जाती है. जैसे हिटलर के बारे में बोला जाता है, हिटलर डिड ओनली वन थिंग इन हिज एंटायर लाइफ व्हिच वाज गुड, ही किल्ड हिमसेल्फ. ठीक है, सो सेम थिंग इज हियर. डिक्टेटर्स जाए तो लिबर्टी विल नेवर पेरिश. एनीवे, तो ये गलत था, एथिकली रॉन्ग था. बाकी तो मैं कुछ कहूंगा नहीं, मुझे भी जिंदगी प्यारी है. दिवाली सेलिब्रेट करना है मेरे को भी आज. ठीक है, एनीवे, क्लियर व्हाट इज द इशू and why RTI is important? Because it empowers you to seek information from any government office, and they literally fear this because whatever information they give in RTI is authentic government record, and you can take that to court and you can dispute that, and that's why they fear this. और ठीक है, मैं मानता हूँ उसका गलत इस्तेमाल भी होता है. जैसे somebody applied an RTI to the Prime Minister office asking for nuclear codes. उसने बोला कि I want nuclear codes, मुझे जानना है क्या कर रहे हो तुम लोग. ठीक है, बट देयर आर एक्सेप्शन. आरटीआई में एक्सेप्शन क्या है? नेशनल सिक्योरिटी. गवर्नमेंट कैन डिनाई यू इन्फॉर्मेशन इन द नेम ऑफ नेशनल सिक्योरिटी. बट प्रॉब्लम ये है कि नेशनल सिक्योरिटी इज अ वेरी वेग टर्म. अब आप उसमें कुछ भी इंटरप्रेट कर सकते हो. एंड आई हैव ऑलवेज टोल्ड यू, नेशनलिज्म इज द मोस्ट अब्यूज्ड कॉन्सेप्ट. नेशनलिज्म इज द मोस्ट अब्यूज्ड कॉन्सेप्ट. फॉर एग्जांपल, यूक्रेन में, यूक्रेन इज फाइटिंग अगेंस्ट रशिया, नेशनल इंटरेस्ट. रशिया इज फाइटिंग अगेंस्ट यूक्रेन, नेशनल इंटरेस्ट. अमेरिका इज सपोर्टिंग यूक्रेन, नेशनल इंटरेस्ट. वी आर सपोर्टिंग नो वन, नेशनल इंटरेस्ट. So everyone is following national interest, and who is suffering? The people of Ukraine. ठीक है, सेम हमास में देख लीजिए, सेम ड्रामा चल रहा है. हमास is supported by the Muslim world, so-called national interest, religious interest. Israel is supported by us, again national interest. चलिए, fine, clear to everyone. So why RTI is important? RTI is important for good governance and empowering the people over the bureaucracy, a secret bureaucracy which was created by Britishers for control, not for government, not for governance, sorry. Clear everyone? So let's see quickly the provision. Central Information Commission, it was established in 2005 under Right to Information Act. And remember, Central Information Commission has jurisdiction over all central public authority. For states, you have State Information Commission made under the same law. ठीक है, नेक्स्ट स्पेसिफिक पावर मैंने आपको बता दिया. सेकंड अपील लाइज टू द इंफॉर्मेशन कमीशन. सेकंड अपील, फर्स्ट पब्लिक इंफॉर्मेशन ऑफिसर. फर्स्ट अपील टू द सीनियर ऑफ पब्लिक इंफॉर्मेशन ऑफिसर. सेकंड अपील टू द कमीशन. It can issue any directive for record maintenance. It can ask for any disclosure of information. It can even investigate complaint if anyone does not give you information. That is bureaucracy I am talking about. And it can oversee and report various matter. Clear? So it is basically a quasi judicial body. It is what? Quasi judicial body, because it takes decisions as a court जब आप किसी के पास जाते हैं सेकंड अपील में, इट कॉल्स आउट द पब्लिक इंफॉर्मेशन ऑफिसर ऑल्सो, क्यों इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं दी तुमने, व्हाट इज द रीजंस, क्लियर। तो इंडिपेंडेंट इंस्टीट्यूशन वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। चलिए कंपोजिशन में आपको पता ही है, यू हैव अ CIC एंड यू हैव 10 ICs and the decision of the commission is final and binding. Can you appeal to the courts? Decision is final and binding. Yes, remember you cannot appeal to the court as a matter of right, वो नहीं है, because its decision is final and binding, but you can reach to the court through the mechanism known as special leave petition. 136 for Supreme Court. Special leave petition is a special power of courts. It's not your right. It's the power of the court to entertain any matter related to justice. Any matter whatsoever. कुछ भी हो, even if it is not. तो यहाँ पे क्या है? The CIC's, the Information Commission's decision is final and binding, but you can still appeal to higher courts. Which higher court? Only High Court and Supreme Court. CIC के केस में सुप्रीम कोर्ट, स्टेट के केस में हाई कोर्ट्स. Remember, only high courts and supreme courts can entertain SLPs. They are known as constitutional courts. ये क्लियर है? Only 2 courts are constitutional courts. अब जल्दी से देख लेते हैं इसके provisions. आपको बता दिया, it give access, right to access to information to public authorities, whatever. Chief Information Commission and ICs, who appoints them? President of India appoint the Chief Information Commissioner and the Information Commissioner on the recommendation of an appointment committee. The appointment committee has the Prime Minister, the chairperson, LOP, Lok Sabha, and the Cabinet Minister. What reforms we need here? First of all, ये नहीं होना चाहिए था, कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर नहीं होना चाहिए था. चीफ जस्टिस को रख सकते हैं, पर मैं उस पर भी भरोसा नहीं करता. आफ्टर रंजन गोगोई, चीफ जस्टिस का भरोसा नहीं है मेरे को, ठीक है. सो व्हाट वी कैन डू इज वी कैन हैव अ मेंबर ऑफ सिविल सोसाइटी. बस सिविल सोसाइटी में अच्छा व्यक्ति होना चाहिए, जैसे कैलाश सत्यार्थी. कैलाश सत्यार्थी who has got Nobel Prize for Peace and he has dedicated his life for the young kids. He rescue them, educate them, protect them. A very honorable person. इस तरह के लोग होने चाहिए. अब सिविल सोसाइटी के नाम पर किसी को भी नहीं उठा लेना, बिकॉज ये भी प्रॉब्लम है ना, गवर्नमेंट किसी को भी पिक कर सकती है. अहो सिविल सोसाइटी बीजेपी मेंबर आ जाओ, ठीक है. कांग्रेस में विल डू द सेम. हमें ऐसा व्यक्ति नहीं चाहिए. वी वांट अ सिविल सोसाइटी मेंबर. और इसमें हम कंडीशन रख सकते हैं. इन द लॉ वी कैन ऐड अ कंडीशन that this civil society member shall not be a member of any political party in the past 10 years, either directly or any of his family member. If a member of a political party for past 10 years, they cannot be appointed here. इससे क्या होगा? At least you can ensure some degree of autonomy. Clear to everyone? चलिए fine. What are the qualification for becoming IC and CIC? कुछ भी नहीं है. इंडिविजुअल एमिनेंट इन पब्लिक लाइफ. अब ये क्या होता है किसी को नहीं पता, ठीक है. तो बेसिक सिंपल समझिए, वट एवर द गवर्नमेंट लाइक्स, ठीक है. वट एवर द गवर्नमेंट लाइक, यूर पब्लिक सर्वेंट. डिस्क्वालिफिकेशन, यू कैन नॉट बी एन MP or MLA. You cannot be MP, MLA. If you are that person, you cannot be appointed here, and you must not hold any office of profit. What is office of profit? Polity concept. Office of profit, जैसे for example, we know what is state, territory, population, and sovereign. We have divided state into 3 parts: legislature, executive, and judiciary. We have given everyone separate roles. अब imagine करते हैं, legislature responsibilities are 2. First, to make laws to govern on all of us, and second, to keep an eye on executive on behalf of us. अब imagine करते हैं, one MP is working under the executive. So can that person execute his constitutional duty of keeping an eye on the government? Not at all. That is called office of profit. Office of profit is a concept which basically prevents conflict of interest. As a MP, your interest is you should keep an eye on the government and report to your constituent members that this government is doing this. You raise questions in parliament, ask questions from the government, and keep government to account. But if you are working for the government, then you can never keep government to account. And that's why we have the provision of office of profit. Clear to everyone what is office of profit? Chaliye, fine. Term of the office, the term is, ये कम कर दी, पहले 5 साल होती थी. मोदी गवर्नमेंट ने कहा 5 साल क्या करोगे तुम लोग, तो 3 साल बहुत है तुम्हारे लिए. चलिए फाइन, एनीवे जो भी है यही है. Retirement from parent service. Jitendra Pal Singh, ये कौन है? In case where the central and the state government previously employed CIC at the time of their appointment, they are considered retire from their prior service. मतलब you are an IAS officer, IPS officer, state PCS officer, you are considered automatically retired. ठीक है? Removal. How they are removed? Remember, they are removed by the president on two grounds: misbehavior and incapacity. And इसके लिए क्या करना पड़ता है? The president will make a reference to Supreme Court first. मनचाहा रिमूव नहीं कर सकता. The president will make a reference to Supreme Court, then the Supreme Court will investigate the matter and it will give a recommendation to the president. And if Supreme Court says yes, misbehavior or incapacity is there, then only president can remove. This was done to ensure independence. अगर आपको पता है सरकार cannot remove you from the position, if you know that the government cannot remove you from the position, then you're more likely to be independent. Clear? Please remember this provision. What are the grounds? What are the grounds of misbehavior and incapacity? Number one, if you are किसी से कर्जा लिया हुआ है तुमने, basically, if you have taken some money from somebody, you have not returned it back, maybe bank or whatever, so you are less likely to work independent. Second, if you are convicted of an offense, any offense which involves something called moral turpitude, but in whose opinion? जैसे मान लो आपके पास रेप केस है, तो प्रेसिडेंट को नहीं लगता कि कोई बड़ी बात है, तो प्रेसिडेंट इज लाइक अपॉइंट हो जाओ, बिकॉज इट इज इन द ओपिनियन ऑफ प्रेसिडेंट. मॉरल टर्पिट्यूड, ये पॉइंट बिल्कुल याद रखिएगा, इट इज इन द ओपिनियन ऑफ प्रेसिडेंट, बेसिकली प्राइम मिनिस्टर मान के चलिए. इफ द प्राइम मिनिस्टर बिलीव्स दैट यू हैव अ मॉरल टर्पिट्यूड, तभी आप अपॉइंट नहीं होगे. मींस एनीवन हु डज नॉट सपोर्ट द गवर्नमेंट इज हैविंग मॉरल टर्पिट्यूड. ठीक है. अगला, engaged in paid employment, any employment you have taken outside your office of CIC or IC. Last, in the opinion of the president, you are unfit to continue in the office. So everything, remember, all grounds are in the opinion of president. And of course, if they are removing you on any of this ground, of course you can appeal to Supreme Court and high courts if required. चलिए, फाइन. दिस वी हैड इश्यूज, मैंने आपको बता दिया, लिमिटेड रीच, डिपेंडेंस में पब्लिक इंफॉर्मेशन ऑफिसर वगैरह वगैरह. अगला देखते हैं. So first news was with respect to agriculture, second was with respect to governance, and the third is with respect to environment. अब ये क्या ड्रामा है? लॉस एंड डैमेज फंड. We know the main foundational agreement on climate change. Name is United Nations Framework on Climate Change, Framework Convention on Climate Change. This is the base agreement. Under this, you have got Paris Agreement. The Paris Agreement targets to limit the global rise of temperature to 1.5 degree centigrade is the desired one, but the critical one is 2 degree. ये याद रखिएगा. They are targeting for 1.5. The 2 degree is the critical one from pre-industrial level, when industrialization began in Britain. Before that, whatever temperature was, उससे 2% अगर increase होता है, then there will be irreversible climate change. आप उसे रिवर्स नहीं कर पाएंगे. तो उसके लिए पर हम टारगेट किसे करके चल रहे हैं? 1.5. There is a climate tracker report which highlights no country except some country. India का इसमें अच्छा रिकॉर्ड है. India is doing good in climate change. बाकी developed country में not even a single developed country is on the target to meet this. Not even a single one. Developing countries are doing better than that. अब climate change में under Paris Agreement, climate में there are 3 negotiations. Understand? Number 1 is called adaptation. Number 2 is called, वैसे इसमें नीचे होगा I think, ये रहा. There are 3 debates in any climate negotiation. Number 1 is mitigation, number 2 adaptation, number 3 is loss and damage. Let's understand all of them. Adaptation. Adaptation means whatever change of climate has happened, you are adapting to that. Mitigation means there should be no further climate change. Adaptation means जो हो चुका है, you are adapting to that. Mitigation में you are preventing any further climate change, and last is loss and damage. अब who wants what? Mitigation is a demand of developed countries. Why? because whatever climate change is right now, they have technology and money to adapt to it. So their prime focus is ki this climate change I can handle. If it goes beyond this, I cannot handle. So developed country wants mitigation, developing country wants adaptation. They say, bhai, I don't have technology and I don't have the money. And because you carried out this climate change, you will give me the money. Something we call CBDHR, the foundational principle of climate negotiation. CBDHR means common because we all inherit this earth. So it is the responsibility of developing and everyone, but differential. We all have responsibility to protect this earth, but the responsibility of developed countries and developing countries are different. Why? Because developed countries have historical responsibility, because they are responsible for this climate change. Industrialization they carried out, they used fossil fuel. हम तो अब start हुए हैं, सबको समझ में आया? This is called common but differential and historical responsibility. ठीक है? It is the main point about adaptation. And iske liye what we have done under Paris Agreement for adaptation, we have created Green Climate Fund administered by World Bank. We have created a fund under Paris Agreement known as Green Climate Fund that basically deals with adaptation. Under Paris Agreement, the developed countries put together will put around $100 billion every year. Under this agreement, Paris Agreement, developed countries will put $100 billion every year for developing countries to adapt to climate change. Mitigation is already enforced. Under Paris Agreement, every country will take something called NDCs, nationally determined contribution. Every country will decide how much they will contribute to the fight of climate change. And every country has decided. So Paris Agreement prime focus is mitigation. Secondary focus, adaptation. And no focus on loss and damage. इसीलिए ये news में था. And why is it so? Because I've told you, there is a fundamental principle in international relations. People do not hear the power of argument, they hear the argument of powers. If you are powerful, you can arm twist the world. I mean, who is the biggest bully on earth? America. Because America controls mind. It can make you believe that you are wrong. You may be advocating कि I want something. So it can make you believe कि तुम गलत बोल रहे हो, मैं सही बोल रहा हूँ. That kind of mental control America has. And because of this, mitigation is a compulsory provision of Paris Agreement. Adaptation is add-on provision of Paris Agreement. Loss and damage is not at all in Paris Agreement. Jabki it is the majority demand of small island nations. But small island nations are saying that because of this climate change, the water table is rising. The sea level is rising, sorry. The sea level is rising. And we are likely to be extinct. Just as Mauritius is believed to be extinct by 2040. Chances are Mauritius or the small islands we have, they are likely to get vanished. तो घूमाओ जितनी जल्दी घूम के आना वहां पे, ठीक है? क्या पता कल होना हो, ठीक है? So they want loss and damage fund so that they can protect themselves. अब छोटे आइलैंड की कौन सुनता है? They're like चलो ठीक है बाद में बात करेंगे. तो छोटे बच्चों को घर से बोलते हैं ना हाँ ठीक है तू इधर हो जा. तो वैसी in Paris Agreement we have sidelined the small island nations. इसीलिए ये न्यूज में था, बिकॉज राइट नाउ इट इज बिकमिंग अ बिग थिंग, दे आर क्राइंग आउट लाउड. अब इसका सोल्यूशन हम क्या कर सकते हैं? देखिए वो आइलैंड तो जाने वाले हैं, उसे कोई नहीं रोक सकता. तो आई बिलीव व्हाट इज द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी लाइज विद बिग कंट्रीज. दे शुड टेक दिस पीपल बिकॉज उनका लैंड वैसे भी जाने ही वाला है. इट विल बी वैनिश बाय 2050 मोर और लेस. सो वी शुड टेक देम एंड वी शुड. मैं इंडिया की मैं बात नहीं कर रहा बिकॉज इंडिया इज ऑलरेडी हाईली पॉपुलस. Countries like America can take them. America has 1/4 of India's population and around 4 times of India's land. Russia can take them. These countries which have large land and very few population, वो आसानी से इन islands के लोगों को ले सकती है. But लेंगे नहीं लेंगे पता नहीं. Because you know xenophobia is on rise. मैंने आपको बताया था. hatred of foreigners is a very common thing nowadays. ठीक है, please remember that. तो क्लियर है तीनों पॉइंट, these are the foundation, and ये तीनों चीजें आपको याद रखनी है, ये तीन और ये. अब देखते हैं हुआ क्या था. After understanding the background, let's see what happened. As the climate crisis escalate, attention is centered on two critical terms: adaptation and loss and damage. Why? Because mitigation तो already agreed in Paris Agreement. इन दोनों पे ड्रामा चल रहा है, particularly loss and damage, जिसकी कोई बात ही नहीं करना चाह रहा, because these are the concern of small nations. चलिए फाइन. Divide mitigation आपको मैंने बताया था, it is important for developed country because they are better equipped to handle disaster today's severity. Adaptation is for developing country and L&D is for small nations or least developed countries. Though all three parts are essential, but mitigation is the most attractive term. It is an agreed term in Paris Agreement. Adaptation is getting less attention and loss and damages in initial stages only. इसकी बात ही शुरू हो रही है अभी तक. Mitigation हम agree कर चुके हैं, adaptation add on हो चुका है, लॉस एंड डैमेज की कोई बात ही नहीं करना चाहता, बिकॉज स्मॉल आइलैंड नेशन की किसे पड़ी है. ठीक है, तो दिस इज व्हाट लॉस एंड डैमेज पे वी हैव. इन 2013 फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम लॉस एंड डैमेज फंड वाज अग्रीड अपॉन, मतलब केम इनटू डिबेट. दैट वाज इन COP. व्हाट इज COP? कॉन्फ्रेंस ऑफ पार्टीज. पार्टीज टू व्हाट? पार्टीज टू UNFCCC. The parties to UNFCCC, when they meet together, it is known as Conference of Parties. So in 19th Conference of Parties, the under UNFCCC in Warsaw, Poland, it was formally agreed to have loss and damage fund. इस पे हुआ कुछ भी नहीं है, but at least in Warsaw, it became the part of climate negotiations. Part बन गया था, agreed कुछ भी नहीं है इस पे. ठीक है, आप देख लेते हैं. तो वॉर्सो में ये स्टार्ट होता है एंड उससे डिबेट चल ही रहा है. रिसेंट जो समिट हुआ है आपका COP 27 2022 में इजिप्ट में हुआ था. इन दिस UNFCCC मेंबर अग्रीड टू सेट अप लॉस एंड डैमेज फंड एंड अ ट्रांजिशन कमिटी फॉर न्यू फंडिंग मैकेनिज्म. दिस कमिटी विल सी हाउ वी कैन जनरेट मनी फॉर लॉस एंड डैमेज फंड. बट अभी भी बस बातें हो रही हैं, समथिंग वी कॉल कोलोकली लिप सर्विस. आप बोल रहे हैं, करेंगे किसी को नहीं पता. क्लियर? बट नॉनदलेस बातें तो हो ही रही हैं कम से कम. ठीक है, चलिए, दिस व्हाट आई हैड फॉर यू. बाकी आप देख लेना, UNFCCC में पॉइंट्स आर गिवन. फाइनेंशियल कमिटमेंट मैंने आपको बता दिया. व्हाट इज द फाइनेंशियल कमिटमेंट? $100 billion एज द पार्ट ऑफ ग्रीन क्लाइमेट फंड. वॉर्सो इंटरनेशनल मैकेनिज्म, इट वाज एस्टैब्लिश्ड एज द पार्ट ऑफ loss and damage fund. मतलब how would you bring the fund in this? For this we established something called Warsaw International Mechanism. It was the first, मैंने आपको बताया, it was the first acknowledgement of loss and damage fund. पहली बार इसे acknowledge किया गया था. चलिए, fine, this what I had for you. Next is economics news. Infrastructure Investment Trust. अब देखते हैं ये क्या ड्रामा है. For this, we need to understand what is the biggest problem in infrastructure financing. The biggest problem is infrastructure financing are always long-term finance without guarantee of return. जैसे मान लेते हैं you are thinking of building an expressway 100 किलोमीटर लॉन्ग, तो उसमें टाइम लगता है 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, समटाइम तो 20-30 years भी लग जाते हैं. जैसे झांसी ग्रिड सेपरेटर दिल्ली में बनाया था, आई थिंक 40 years में बना था. इतनी तेज हम काम करते हैं. ठीक है, why it happens is because there are a lot of people involved in corruption. तो उसमें project often get delayed project means rising cost of project. अब बैंक ये नहीं कर सकता because bank have a problem. Banks can only provide short term fund. They do something we call asset liability matching. बैंक क्या करते हैं? Asset liability matching, something you will study in economics in detail. Asset liability means how much assets I have and how much liabilities I have. Means how much money I am likely to earn and how much money I would have to give to the world. If there is a mismatch between them, then bank has to fill that gap. अब वो fill कैसे करते हैं? There are numerous options. Number one, they can go to RBI to take the money. RBI charges interest rate, something we call repo rates. Repo rate is the interest charged by RBI for giving money to banks. Second option is they can go to a fellow bank. Fellow bank charges something called call money rate. Because repo rate is charged by RBI for giving money to banks. Fellow bank charge a rate to give money to bank known as call money rate. Third option they have is take money from you people. अब ये हो नहीं पाता है. क्यों नहीं हो पाता है? Because इसके लिए उन्हें चाहिए होगा bonds. And India has virtually non-existent bond market. इंडिया के शेयर मार्केट तो बहुत अच्छा है, इसीलिए मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द पीपल हु आर नॉट फ्रॉम इकोनॉमिक्स बैकग्राउंड उन्होंने वर्ड भी कभी नहीं सुना होता. बिकॉज सुना जब आपने, यू विल हियर दिस व्हेन योर पेरेंट्स आर प्रैक्टिसिंग इट. शेयर मार्केट सबको पता है, इवन द यंग किड्स नो देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड शेयर मार्केट बिकॉज इट इज अ वाइडली यूज्ड मैकेनिज्म ऑफ ट्रेड इन इंडिया. बॉन्ड किसी को नहीं पता बिकॉज बॉन्ड इंडिया में वर्चुअली नॉन एग्जिस्टेंट. अब क्वेश्चन इज व्हाई इट इज नॉन एग्जिस्टेंट. द बिगेस्ट रीजन इज बॉन्ड इज अ गारंटी. व्हाट इज अ बॉन्ड? It's a guarantee of a loan. Just I gave you a money, you will ask me a guarantee. So on Government of India stamp paper, I will write that I have taken this money from this person and I will return this amount with this interest at this date. That is called bond. सबको समझ में आया? अब प्रॉब्लम क्या है? If I give you a bond for money, would you take it? Chances are no. You are like आप अच्छे हो, इतने भी नहीं कि हम आपको पैसे दे दें. But अब इमेजिन करते हैं गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया साइंस माय पेपर दैट इफ दिस पर्सन डज नॉट पे आई विल पे, देन वुड यू बाय द बॉन्ड? ऑफ कोर्स यू वुड बाय अ बॉन्ड. दिस इज द प्रॉब्लम वी हैव बिकॉज बॉन्ड के लिए यू रिक्वायर अ गारंटी एंड कॉर्पोरेट पे लोगों का भरोसा थोड़ा कम है. दे आर लाइक आज कंपनी है कल हो ना हो, so they do not want to buy the bond. So who can issue bond? Bonds are concentrated only in AA and better rating. Who is rating these bonds? There is a thing called credit rating agency. Economics में आप करेंगे. Credit rating agencies. These are private companies who give a rating. जैसे for example, you want to buy a bond of Reliance. अब you are an individual and that too you do not have expertise of bond market or company finances. अब आप लॉयर तो हो नहीं जो आपको पता होगा और नीदर यू आर चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट, सो आपको नहीं पता हाउ कंपनी फंक्शंस प्रॉपर्ली. अब यू वांट टू बाय अ बॉन्ड, सो आप किसी की तो मदद लोगे. हु इज दैट पर्सन? क्रेडिट रेटिंग एजेंसी. व्हाट दे डू इज दे हैव experts of chartered accounting, companies affairs and everything they know. They analyze companies functioning, they go through its finances, its expenditure, its annual report, they see everything in the company. Based on that they give a rating to the company's bond. The better the rating, the higher the chances you will get your money back. So in that scenario, the only thing you see when you buy a bond, you see rating only, because this rating is given by a CRA and CRA are expert of company's affair. अगर वो AA रेटिंग दे रहे हैं तो इसका मतलब they have seen something in company's finance which is very good. तो you don't have to worry then. यहाँ तक सबको समझ में आया? So two things are very compulsory for bond. First is CRA rating, that too very good rating. Otherwise people don't buy this. अब can a new startup get this good of rating? कभी नहीं. ये problem है. That only established player like Reliance, Adani firms, they can issue bond and you will buy it because they have money already. That's why we always say money gives birth to money. Money breeds money basically. Why? Because they have money and from that money they can get good ratings. I hope everyone remember we discussed multiple times 2008 crisis. This crisis happened because these companies, they gave very high rating to the bonds of company which were virtual on bankruptcy. Corruption scandal था ये बहुत बड़ा. These financial institutions, they went to CRA and they colluded with each other and CRA gave a very good rating. अब based on that rating आपने invest कर दिया. आपको थोड़ा ना पता था कि CRA is giving this on a bribe or something. You invested this. कभी तो सामने आना था. When it became to the fore, everyone panicked. And most importantly, who panicked? Pension funds. What is a pension fund? When you work in any job, you contribute a part of your salary to a fund, which will provide you pension when you retire. जैसे गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया में यू हैव न्यू पेंशन स्कीम, वो भी एक फंड है, पेंशन फंड, जैसे ईपीएफओ, एम्प्लॉयज प्रोविडेंट फंड, दीज आर अ फंड. When you work for government of India cut a part of your salary, it deposit in a fund known as new pension scheme fund. When you retire, a part is cut from your salary, a part is given by the government, and when you retire, you get a pension. So pension fund is somebody's social security, basically बुढ़ापे का सहारा. अब in that scenario, they never invest in risky adventures. Banks to always invest in risky adventures. They never invest because they know risky adventures give high profit, no doubt, but they can also give high losses. और मान लेते हैं I am somebody's social security. If I get down, तो वो तो गया बेचारा. सबको समझ में आया? बट यहाँ पे ये चीज नहीं हुई. पेंशन फंड सॉ ओनली वन थिंग. दे सॉ यार इनको रेटिंग तो बहुत मस्त मिली है. तो पेंशन फंड सॉ यार these companies have very good rating. It means these companies are very good in functioning. Pension funds invested the money. That was the reason of panic. If these companies goes down, भाई I am somebody's social security. तो मैं उनको बुढ़ापे पे क्या दूंगा? सबको समझ में? And that's why whenever this crime, when this entire drama came to the fore, that credit rating agency gave wrong ratings to the company under the influence of money, everyone panicked. And immediately the share market of America collapsed. It collapsed and it spread to the world, except India and China. Why India and China? Because India में you have government banks. Government banks में advantage ये होता है that these banks, even if they are at loss, they can always run. Private company can never run in losses. It can only run in profit or it closes down. Government can always run in losses. Jैसे for example, Delhi Transport Corporation buses. Delhi government does not recover the money of running these buses. Can it stop the buses? Not at all. इसलिए for example, recently they have made free ride to women. पर फिर भी कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. What matters? क्या होगा? टैक्स लगा देंगे थोड़ा सा. They will tax the people, generate the revenue, and subsidize your free rides. Government are for this purpose. So when government banks face this crisis in India, government banks said, okay, fine, you cannot give me money right now, give it later. I can sustain myself. Something private banks cannot do. That's why India never faced this crisis. And this is the criticism of government effort to privatization of banks. You are already privatizing everything. If you privatize banks also, then we may witness something America witnessed. सबको समझ में आया? So this is the biggest problem. You require good credit rating, you require CRA, and sometimes CRA give wrong rating on influence. इसलिए even if that bond has a good rating, आप तब भी नहीं खरीदोगे. ठीक है? Same thing. So when nobody is buying, when common people are not buying the bonds, तो आप bond कैसे दोगे? Obviously बात है, you will do private placement. When common people are not buying your loan papers, you will give this to private placement. Private placement means you have a closed door meeting with big investors. आप उनको ये पैसा देते हैं, like banks and everyone. Corporate India prefer taking loan from a bank than from you people. Because imagine a scenario, I am a corporate, I issue bond to people of India. You people bought the bond and I did something crime. मान लेते हैं my company is about to go down. You all will panic. And panic में what will you do? Protest. You will come outside my office and have a dharna. That dharna will pressurize the government. And then government will take countermeasures. कि अगली बार ऐसा ना हो. It will fund you also. It will give you money and also pressurize. तो इसलिए कॉर्पोरेट क्या करते हैं? They take loan from bank. बैंक में नहीं भी दे तो किसे पता लग रहा है? वो आप ही का पैसा है. The money you deposit to the bank, bank give to corporates under bond or other things. But if a company is unable to pay, you never feel it. Because when you saw the app of your bank, आपको तो दिखता है my account has 1 lakh rupees. वो वहाँ है ही नहीं. Already विजय माले लेके भाग चुका है. But the thing is, आपको नहीं पता. You feel like my money is तो safe है. So whenever you will go to withdraw the money, what the bank do is they take money from other deposits and give to you. And they circulate the money, that is. Taking from this account, giving to that account, taking from that account, giving to this account. सबको समझ में आया? इसीलिए they take money from the bank. Because bank में अगर वो default कर भी जाते हैं, they have no problem. It does not create political crisis. But if you people give money to a corporate, you will make sure company runs better. That's why there is no accountability of companies. सबको प्रॉब्लम समझ में भाई? So you people are not taking bonds. So company goes to banks and give them bonds and take the money, and often company defaults. Third problem. Now imagine yourself as a banker. You have two people in front of you. A new startup, very good idea. मान लो Paytm. Paytm, when it just started, it has come to you for loan. And on the other hand, you have Mr. Vijay Mallya. उस समय वो अच्छे व्यक्ति हुआ करते थे, member of parliament, honorable. So Vijay Mallya is sitting on one side, and Paytm founder is sitting on one side. To whom you will give the loan? Obviously Vijay Mallya. But that person is a crook. The Paytm founder will grow that company to the extreme. It will revolutionize payment system in India. But still you will fund Vijay Mallya then whom? Then a new startup. This is the problem here. Because we have a weak bond market. This weak bond market does not allow the good companies to take money from you. So they go to bank. Bank give money to them. So bank is unable to give money to new ideas. इसलिए we need a strong bond market. आप समझ में आया? सेम अब आते हैं इस पे, क्यों लाए गए ये? इसी तरह का मैकेनिज्म है. इसमें क्या होता है बेसिकली, आपने सुना होगा म्यूचुअल फंड्स. They are like mutual funds. Invitees are like mutual funds. In this, all you people deposit the money. Then mutual funds invest in share market, bond market, and other places. They generate profit and give you a part of profit. That is the purpose of mutual funds. Invitees are mutual funds, but only for infrastructure. सबको समझ में आया? अब सॉल्यूशन एक ये भी दिया जा रहा है कि फॉर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर यू रिक्वायर मनी फॉर एग्जांपल 20 years. What you can do is, if an infrastructure company do not take money from bank, it can take money from you people. आप फिक्स डिपॉजिट कराते हैं 5 साल 10 साल के. What you can do is, फिक्स डिपॉजिट में फॉर एग्जांपल यू आर गेटिंग 9%. The company can give you 20%. You give your money for 10 years to the company, it will give you a bond, and for 20 years you can have the money. आपको झंझट नहीं है बैंक की. बैंक में क्या होता है, आपको मैंने बताया, बैंक कैरी आउट एसेट लायबिलिटी मैचिंग. बैंक कैन नॉट गिव लॉन्ग टर्म मनी. बैंक आपको लंबा मनी कभी नहीं दे सकता. सबको समझ में आ रहा है व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम हियर? उसके डील करने के लिए यू कैन हैव बॉन्ड मार्केट, बट इंडिया में बॉन्ड मार्केट इज वर्चुअली नॉन एग्जिस्टेंट. सो टू deal with the problem of bond market, government launched invitees. Invitees are like mutual fund, not bond, mutual fund. You people invest in this mutual fund. This mutual fund called invitees give money to infrastructure companies. इससे फायदा क्या हुआ? They have a long term money and they do not have to go to banks. सबको समझ में आया? ऑनलाइन पीपल क्लियर? थोड़ा इकोनॉमिकली हैवी था तो मैंने कोशिश तो करी है. चलिए फाइन, तो जल्दी से देख लेते हैं व्हाट इज रिटन हियर. क्विकली लेट अस रीड. Invitees are the investment vehicle designed to facilitate investment in infrastructure assets, particularly both in private and retail investors. These fund operate similar to mutual funds and they focus on long-term infrastructure projects like road, gas, transmission lines, and whatever. And who regulates them? Please remember this. India में what is the regulation? Share market is completely regulated by SEBI. Mutual funds are regulated by SEBI. Even bond market is regulated by SEBI. Except government bonds. Government bonds are regulated by RBI. ये याद रखिएगा regulatory structure. If UPSC writes this down, that all bonds are regulated by SEBI, right or wrong? Wrong. SEBI regulates bond market, but only non-government bonds. अब देखते हैं, there is another statement in मान लेते prelims में that PSU bonds are regulated by SEBI, right or wrong? PSU bonds are regulated by SEBI. He's saying wrong. Wrong. Correct. क्यों? Wrong. क्यों? चलिए दोबारा लगता है भूल गया थोड़ा सा, मैं बता देता हूँ. मैं फिर बता देता हूँ. If you're working in a public sector, you're not working for the government. You're working for a corporate happens to be owned by government. Government jobs अलग होती हैं, public sector अलग होता है. Public sector is like a private company, properly private company. But the only difference is majority shares are with the government. It is not a government job. So PSUs in the eyes of law are nothing more than a private company. That depends. जरूरी नहीं है 51 हो, कई बार हो सकता है मान लेते हैं you have 15% of the share. Government of India has 15% of the share of PSU. बाकी जितने शेयर होल्डर हैं उनके पास 2, 3, 4% है, तो भी गवर्नमेंट हो जाएगी वो. मुझे डिपेंड करता है who has the majority shares. जनरली हम 50 मानते हैं, बट लेस में भी काम बन सकता है. चलो वो एक अलग बात है, बट रिमेंबर एट दिस पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम गवर्नमेंट इज डिफरेंट, PSUs आर डिफरेंट. इसीलिए फॉर एग्जांपल अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल हु जॉइन PSUs, the government of India said we are trying to privatize banks. सब लोग प्रोटेस्ट करने बैठ गए. उनको ये बात समझनी चाहिए, you are working in SBI. SBI is a government company. It is not a government job. You are working in a company, a private type company in which majority shares are with the government. वो आज है कल नहीं होंगे. Nobody can privatize government job. But PSU job can always be privatized. जैसे for example police is government function, वो कभी privatized नहीं हो सकता. हाँ, उसमें you can hire contract people for other works like summoning वगैरह में normal work के लिए. But जो core policing है वो केवल और केवल सरकार ही करती है. तो if you're a police officer, you are a government employee. सबको फर्क समझ में आ रहा है? There is a PSU in there. So remember, SEBI regulates bond market except government bonds, including PSUs and private bonds. So if a statement comes that PSU bonds are regulated by SEBI, right. Government bonds are regulated by SEBI, wrong. Clear to everyone? Please थोड़ा सा difference है clear रखिएगा. And who regulate mutual funds like invitees? SEBI. चलिए fine. अब let's see what is their design. They are designed as 3-tiered entities, and this trust in turn invest in eligible infrastructure project either directly or through special purpose vehicle. What is a special purpose vehicle? Let's for example a expressway is being built. Expressway बन रहा है. अब you don't want to give money to, for example, who made this Yamuna expressway? JP Corporation made this. For example, you are an invitee. You have the money to invest in expressways, but you don't want to give that money to JP. So what you will say to JP, let's form a separate company. You will form a separate company in which invitees will hold some share, the JP will hold some share, and that company will build the expressway. So whatever the profit will come automatically goes to the invitees. That is called special purpose vehicle. These are separate companies created by established companies for special purpose. एक बार रिपीट करता हूं. ओके, जैसे मान लेते हैं गवर्नमेंट का एग्जांपल लेते हैं. गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया वांट्स टू प्रोवाइड यू वाटर. अब वाटर के लिए देयर टू ऑप्शन. गवर्नमेंट कैन हायर अ कॉन्ट्रैक्टर, दैट कॉन्ट्रैक्टर विल ले द पाइपिंग नेटवर्क एंड प्रोवाइड यू वाटर. गवर्नमेंट थिंक्स ये नहीं चलेगा, आई वांट टू बी द पार्ट ऑफ सिस्टम. So what government can do? Government can form a new company. मान लेते हैं गंगा जल कंपनी फॉर एग्जांपल. Government will create a company under Companies Act. The company name is Ganga Jal Private Limited. In this में what will happen? मान लेते हैं state government of UP. The state government of UP will hold 40% share and JPO जो भी है will hold 60% shares. So government is the part of management, but this company is like a private limited. Such companies are known as. What is the focus of this entire company? Only one: to lay the piping network and provide the water. As soon as it is done with the work, this company will end itself. खत्म कहानी इसकी. So any such vehicle made for any special purpose is known as special purpose vehicle. It can be made by numerous people also. हो सकता है मान लेते हैं 10 companies in India, Reliance, Adani and everyone. They all come together for some project. So what they will do, they will form a separate company by a separate name. Everyone will hold share in that. All those 10 main company will hold share in one company. And the only purpose of that company is to work on a project. As soon as the project is done, the company dissolves. इससे फायदा क्या होता है? The biggest advantage is specific focus. अब Reliance तो बहुत सारे काम करता है. But if Reliance create a subsidiary proper company, So that company will have a management dedicated only to the special purpose. इससे फोकस आता है काम में. सबको समझ में आया? तो invitees can either directly invest in infrastructure or they can create a special purpose vehicle with government or private. ठीक है? What is the eligibility? The minimum subscription limit is of, तो मतलब if you want to invest money, minimum 1 lakh you have to invest. इससे कम नहीं हो सकता. And it does not allow whom? Banks, insurance companies, pension funds and sovereign wealth funds. क्यों? आपको बताया मैंने अभी. अगर बैंक से ही लोन दिलवाना होता तो हम लाते ही क्यों इसे? We brought invitees ताकि companies do not take money from banks and banks will have free bandwidth to give money to new ideas. अगर बैंक ही इन्हें पैसा दे देगा invitees को तो पर्पस ही डिफीट हो गया. The real purpose of invitees is the common people of India invest in these to earn money so that the company can raise money from you directly because bond market is not functioning. अगर bond market होता इंडिया में, if India would be having a very functioning bond market, तो हमें इसकी जरूरत नहीं पड़ती. सबको समझ में आया? Invitees is a solution to bond problem, and in this government is trying to get money from you people, not from banks, insurance company, pension funds and sovereign wealth fund. Sovereign wealth fund means a fund created by government for investment purposes. जैसे इंडिया में है हमारे पास नेशनल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर इन्वेस्टमेंट फंड. दिस इज द ओनली सॉवरन वेल्थ फंड ऑफ इंडिया. इसमें आई थिंक 49% शायद गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया का, बाकी प्राइवेट है. इट्स अ सॉवरन वेल्थ फंड. सबको सॉवरन वेल्थ फंड, अ फंड क्रिएटेड बाय गवर्नमेंट फॉर इन्वेस्टमेंट पर्पसेस. जैसे आप अपना सेविंग्स अकाउंट बनाते हैं, उसी तरह से है ये. चलिए फाइन. रिटर्न्स मैंने आपको बता दिया. रिटर्न्स आर डिवाइडेड इनटू टू कंपोनेंट, लोन एंड कैपिटल. यूनिट होल्डर रिसीव रिटर्न्स इन द फॉर्म ऑफ बोथ डिविडेंड एंड इंटरेस्ट. आप जो पैसा देते हैं यू विल टेक एन इंटरेस्ट. मान लेते हैं यू गिव 2 लाख रुपीज, तो 2 लाख रुपए पे दैट म्यूचुअल फंड विल गिव यू इंटरेस्ट, मान लेते हैं 6%. बट इफ म्यूचुअल फंड मेक्स अ प्रॉफिट तो इट विल गिव यू डिविडेंड ऑल्सो. सबको समझ में आया दोनों का मतलब? इंटरेस्ट तो मिलेगा ही मिलेगा. Interest they will give you always, but dividend depends upon profit. If the mutual fund generate profit, they will give you extra. Interest you will always get. Dividend is extra depending upon profit. Clear? Very good mechanism. चलिए reduces मैंने आपको बता ही दिया. 80 reduces ये है कि invitees can invest 80% of their assets to completed or मतलब they cannot invest in risky ventures. They will invest their money either in the completed projects or who are giving revenue out of it. इसका मतलब the chances is that your money will always give you returns. चलिए fine. Legal recognition. How they are recognized? Who regulate invitees? SEBI. एक और टर्म होती है जिसे हम बोलते हैं रियल एस्टेट इन्वेस्टमेंट ट्रस्ट. They are just like invitees. ये दोनों के दोनों ही क्या है? म्यूचुअल फंड्स. But the difference is invitees invest money in infrastructure, all infrastructure, particularly roadways, highways. REITs, they are just like invitees. They are a mutual fund which invest in real estate. इतना ही फर्क है बस. नाम से पता लगा लीजिए. REITs invest in real estate, invitees invest in infrastructure, and they are recognized under a law known as SARFAESI, Securitization and Reconstruction of Financial Assets and Enforcement of Securities Interest Act. SARFAESI. What is this law? This law was made in context of banking system. अब क्या होता था? Before this law, you go to a bank, you give them a mortgage. मान लेते हैं your house paper. You gave them the house paper, you took the loan and you defaulted. अब problem ये थी, the bank could not sell your house. उसके लिए they have to go to court. Then court से they have to ask, please sell this house. It was a lengthy process. और आपको जब पता है कि nobody can sell your house, तो आप पे ही नहीं करते थे. So they urged the government. The Parliament of India passed this law. Under this law, if you mortgage anything to the bank can possess it and sell it. ये पावर बैंक को इस लॉ के तहत मिली है. सबको समझ? SARFAESI, It was created to deal with the problem of mortgage auctioning. और इसमें recent में एक amendment आया है, because what happens is, मान लेते you are a बाहुबली, so what happens, bank has taken over your property. Now bank will auction it. Bank रखता नहीं है उसे, क्या करेगा बैंक उसका? So bank will auction your property, but because you are very controlled person in the economy, in that area you are a बाहुबली, so you make sure nobody comes to auction. अब क्या होता था, बड़ी प्रॉब्लम होती थी. So we amended this. Now if nobody comes to auction, the bank can possess the property forever. पहले क्या होता था, प्रॉपर्टी पड़ी है, आप उसमें रह रहे हो, बैंक आपको निकाल नहीं पा रहा था, क्योंकि वो निकालेगा कब, जब कोई नया ओनर आएगा. नया ओनर आ नहीं रहा है बिकॉज आपका कंट्रोल इतना ज्यादा है. यू आर नॉट अलाउइंग एनीवन टू कम टू ऑक्शन. सो नाउ बैंक, इफ नोबडी कम्स टू ऑक्शन, दे कैन होल्ड द प्रॉपर्टी. वहां पे अपना ऑफिस खोल सकते हैं चाहे तो. सबको समझ में आया? These all powers are given under SARFAESI, and REITs and invitees are recognized as borrowers under SARFAESI. It means if they do not return your money, you can go to court for enforcement of your debt. Clear? So ये provision है, please remember them. I hope everyone is clear on everything. चलिए, the next news we have is World Bachia, whatever it is. What is this drama? Dengue drama. The problem is, dengue आप सबको पता है, it's a disease, often happens. पहले देख लेते हैं what is dengue. कहाँ गया? ये रहा. About dengue, it's a tropical disease caused by a virus. तो इसीलिए मैंने, I think previous class में भी discussed this. There is a problem with Indians. हम क्या करते हैं, सीधा मेडिकल पे गए किसी भी पे, और भाई मुझे बुखार हो रहा है, 3-4 दवाइयां मिला के दे दे मेरे को. अब ये प्रॉब्लम है. अंडरस्टैंड, यू हैव अ वायरल, इट्स अ वायरस डिजीज, एंड यू आर टेकिंग एंटीबायोटिक्स. क्या लॉजिक है? एंटीबायोटिक्स इस पे काम नहीं करेगा. इट्स अ एंटीबैक्टीरियल डिवाइस, इट्स अ एंटीबैक्टीरियल मेडिसिन, एंड यू आर टेकिंग ऑन अ वायरल डिजीज. वायरल फीवर में लोग एंटीबायोटिक खाते फिरते हैं. अब प्रॉब्लम ये है, एंटीबायोटिक, बिकॉज इट विल नॉट वर्क ऑन वायरल फीवर, but it will surely kill good bacteria inside you. We have two kind of bacteria within us, good and bad. Probiotics आपने सुना होगा, that आता भी है वो छोटी सी सीसी जो आती है probiotics की. Probiotics has a thousands of bacteria which are good one, which go into your intestine and they help you in absorption and whatever is there. They are good bacteria. We have a lot of bacteria within our body which help our body to carry out various functions. So we are concerned about bad one, not the good one. When you take antibiotics, when you have a viral, you are killing the good bacteria inside you. You are making sure कि आपकी body recover नहीं करेगी आगे. एक तो you are killing good bacteria. Second thing, even if there is some bad bacteria, what they do is they evolve. इसीलिए antibiotic, until unless it is very necessary, never take it, because the bacteria present inside you get evolve. नेक्स्ट टाइम जब आप एंटीबायोटिक लेंगे वो काम नहीं करेगी. इसलिए I've seen to the people who do not complete the course. अगर डॉक्टर ने बोला 6 दिन, तो पूरे 6 दिन खाने एंटीबायोटिक्स. आपने 2 दिन खा के छोड़ दिया, या लाइक मैं तो मस्त हो गया. द प्रॉब्लम इज, all bacteria will not be killed, some will be killed. मान लेते हैं majority will be killed. Even if 2 bacteria are left, those bacteria will evolve. Next time when you will get ill and take the same antibiotic, it will not work on you. You will require a higher dose, and we have a limit of antibiotics. एक लिमिट के बाद only God can save. ठीक है, दुआ काम आती है, दवा काम नहीं आती है. So इसीलिए first, if you are starting a medical course, do it completely. Do not stop taking medicine without consulting with the doctor. जब वो कह दे कि हाँ find the time you can stop it. Before that, do not do this, because you are manipulating the bacteria, germs inside you. They evolve. Next time they will cause even bigger problem. इसलिए हमने बहुत से लोग देखे हैं वो बार बार बीमार पड़ते हैं. कईयों को सर्दी होती है, बार बार कुछ दिनों में शुरू हो जाती है. प्रॉब्लम ये, एज यू गेट इल यू टेक मेडिसिन, 2 दिन खाई फिर छोड़ दिया, फिर आप बीमार पड़ गए. इफ यू टेक अ प्रॉपर कोर्स, इट विल किल एवरीथिंग इनसाइड यू. सबको समझ में आया? सेकंड प्रॉब्लम, यू गो टू एनी मेडिकल शॉप, कुछ भी खा रहे हैं. सेल्फ मेडिकेशन इज अ प्रॉब्लम इन इंडिया. Because of these two problems, you often lead to disease. Please remember this. Do not mix these cocktails, and particularly in viral disease, take antiviral medicine, not antibiotics, which is very common in India. Okay, please remember this. And who transmit this? ये बड़ा ही notorious female mosquito है. हमने बताया ना लड़कियां ही खून चूसती हैं, ऐसा बोलते हैं लोग. सो द फीमेल वर्जन ऑफ एडिस एगिप्टिस, मेल बेचारा शरीफ होता है, वो बेचारा जाता है फल फ्रूट्स खाता है, ठीक है. द फीमेल वायरस ऑफ एडिस एगिप्टिस, बिकॉज अंडरस्टैंड द रीजन इज द मेल डज नॉट हैव टू बियर चिल्ड्रन. जो फीमेल मस्किटो होता है, दे रिक्वायर वार्म ब्लड फॉर बेसिकली केयरिंग आउट द चिल्ड्रन, उनके लिए चाहिए होता है उसे. बट दैट मस्किटो हैज अ लॉट ऑफ वायरसेस. When that mosquito is not trying to kill you, that mosquito is only trying to extract your warm blood for its kid, not for itself, for the kids. But in the process, it transmits viruses, so unintentionally kills you. Okay, please remember this. Now we have two types of dengue hemorrhagic fever and dengue shock syndrome. The difference here is, इससे ज्यादा मत पढ़ना, PhD नहीं करना, डॉक्टर नहीं बनना है किसी को, ठीक है. dengue hemorrhagic fever में it leads to bleeding, लो लेवल ऑफ ब्लड प्लेटलेट्स एंड ब्लड प्लाज्मा लीकेज. क्या आपने सुना डेंगू में बोलते हैं प्लाज्मा चढ़ाना पड़ेगा, प्लेटलेट चढ़ाना पड़ेगा. दैट इज डेंगू हेमरेजिक फीवर. शॉक सिंड्रोम में यू हैव अ लो प्रेशर. So there are two different things. If you have a low pressure, then you have the shock syndrome variety. If you have low platelet, low plasma, then you have a hemorrhagic fever variety. These are the two varieties within this. And there are 4 strains of dengue, in which type 2 and type 4 is the severe one. An infection with one type gives you lifelong immunity to that type, but a very temporary immunity to other types. So you have 2 variety of dengue, hemorrhagic fever and shock syndrome, and there are 4 strains of dengue. If you are infected with one strain, you are lifelong immune. अगर बच गए तो for remaining के लिए you have a partial immunity. Clear? चलिए fine. अब आते हैं वॉल बच्चे पे. Let's see what it is. अब majority of the cases in the world are occurring in dengue, particularly in tropical areas. The biggest question is why we don't have a vaccine for dengue even today. एक है हमारे पास डेंगवेक्सिया, पर वो अभी अंडर ट्रायल चल रहा है, उसका पक्का नहीं है. क्यों? कोरोना की वैक्सीन तो हमने 2 साल में बना ली. Why we don't have a vaccine for this? हाँ, exactly. The reason is India is a developing country, and this is a disease of tropical developing countries, not developed countries. Corona ki vaccine we got because developed countries were affected. Immediate investment. We have a limitation of money. हमारे पास limited money on what we can invest. This was the problem we faced when we got independence. During independence, our founding fathers and mothers had a problem. We have limited money and we have inherited a country virtually destroyed by Britishers. We had we have very low literacy, 17 something in males and 6% something in females, which is now at 74% on an average. So we had a very low literacy. We have high maternal mortality, high infant mortality. We have a virtually destroyed economy. When Britishers left India, when Britishers came India was cornering 25% of world GDP. When Britishers left India, we were cornering near 0%. So they left us with nothing. We have to start with nothing. So we had a choice. If you start with nothing, you prioritize your goals. So we knew R&D is a costly adventure. For years, you have to invest and there is no guarantee of return. For example, you must have ate that toffee, Pulse toffee खाई होगी आप लोगों ने. How many years you think it took to develop that? कितना simple है, 2 छेद करो, उसमें मसाला भर दो. 3 years. For 3 years, the company invested in research and development. Then they created the toffee, which is very popular nowadays. 3 years of research. और कितना simple आपको लग रहा होगा. For example, humans took centuries to develop the wheel. Develop होने के बाद तो common sense है, और उसे बनाने के लिए centuries लगी हमें. That is the new idea. To make a new idea, you require extraordinary time. And extraordinary money is also involved. So research and development is a costly affair, and there is no guarantee of return also. हो सकता है after working for 10 years on a medicine, you find nothing at the end of it. ऐसा बहुत बार होता है. अब India has limited money, so we could not invest in costly research and development. So we invested in second best thing, mass production. वो हम कर सकते थे. हमने बोला कि we may not do research and development, but India has a large population which does not have good per capita income. They do not have high purchasing power like developed countries. So I may not be able to make new medicine, but I will make at mass. इसलिए जो आप खाते हैं ना पैरासिटामोल एंड एवरीथिंग 10 रुपए 12 रुपए में मिल जाती है, इसलिए मिलती है बिकॉज इंडिया इज द वर्ल्ड लार्जेस्ट मैन्युफैक्चरर ऑफ मेडिसिन on the strength of only generic medicine. कैसी medicine? Generic. Any medicine which does not have patent. Patent means exclusive right to produce. Any medicine which does not have patent is known as generic medicine. इसलिए आपने देखा when you go to a medical, वो क्या बोलता है? मैम और सर I don't have this medicine, but मेरे पे दूसरी है same salt की. वो यही कहना चाह रहा है कि आप जो मांग रहे हैं वो एक ब्रांडेड ब्रांड है, वो अवेलेबल नहीं है मेरे पास, बट मुझको मेरे पास उसका जेनरिक वर्जन है जो उसका कई गुना सस्ता भी है, बहुत सस्ता आता है क्योंकि ये मास मैन्युफैक्चर किया जाता है. सबको समझ में आया? बट ठीक है, एक प्रॉब्लम है जेनरिक मेडिसिन में, दे मे नॉट हैव गुड एफिकेसी. यू टेक 7 टैबलेट्स ऑफ जेनरिक मेडिसिन एंड 1 टैबलेट ऑफ ब्रांडेड मेडिसिन, सेम इंपैक्ट. ये प्रॉब्लम गवर्नेंस की है, सरकार निकम्मी है इसलिए हो रहा है ये. रियल लाइफ में द जेनरिक मेडिसिन शुड हैव इक्वल एफिशिएंसी दैट ऑफ अ ब्रांडेड मेडिसिन. पर क्या होता है, बिकॉज ऑफ करप्शन यू आर प्रोड्यूसिंग मेडिसिन, गवर्नमेंट चेक ही नहीं करती इसकी एफिकेसी क्या है, करती भी है तो फाइन नहीं लगाती बिकॉज ऊपर से नीचे तक आपने खिलाया हुआ है पैसा. सबको समझ आ रहा है? तो ये करना चाहिए. द ओनली प्रॉब्लम विद जेनरिक मेडिसिन इज देयर एफिकेसी प्रॉब्लम एंड इट इज ओनली बिकॉज ऑफ गवर्नमेंट्स impotency and nothing else. Clear this much? That's why we do not have a vaccine for dengue, because it does not impact developed world who can do research and development. All the disease that they suffer from, they have vaccine or medicines. All the disease that we suffer from, developing countries, we don't have them. अब इंडिया ने डेवलप कर लिया कैपेसिटी. Now India and China has the capacity to develop new medicine. We developed corona vaccine. Before that, हालांकि मीडिया प्रोजेक्टेड कि पहली बार हमने वैक्सीन बनाई है, ऐसा नहीं था. Before that, we had already made rotavirus and other vaccine. उससे पहले भी हम वैक्सीन बना चुके हैं, पर ठीक है, मीडिया की अपनी गेम है. Clear to everyone? ये न्यू मेथड पाया जा रहा है. व्हाट इज दिस न्यू मेथड? तो व्हाट इज वॉल बच्ची है? इट्स अ नेचुरली अकरिंग बैक्टीरिया. इट्स अ नेचुरली अकरिंग बैक्टीरिया फाउंड इन मैनी इंसेक्ट स्पीशीज. अब ये करता क्या है? बेसिकली इफ यू इंजेक्ट दिस इन अ मॉस्किटो, देन व्हाटएवर वायरस द मॉस्किटो होल्ड्स, दे आर अनेबल टू ट्रांसमिट. Means the virus will come to you, will suck the blood out of you, but you will not get the virus. आपका जो the virus that mosquito holds will not transmit to your body because that will be importantly dead. लेकिन blood sucking will continue. ठीक है? This is the advantage here. So what we can do is we will take some mosquito. We will in laboratory we will infuse this bacteria in them and then we will release them in wild. They will reproduce. Those children that they will reproduce will have no capacity to transmit. That's why it is very effective. देखिए कितना effective है? Around 77%. By having this method, you can prevent propagation of disease by around 77%, particularly the virus like dengue, chikungunya, Zika, and yellow fever, largely caused by Aedes aegypti. Aedes aegypti. Clear? ये मैंने कहा था ना, we artificially infect your बच्चिया when they it inhibits replication of virus in the mosquito, and that's why the infected mosquito रहेंगे, लेकिन their ability to infect you by a virus will not be there. ठीक है, please remember this. बाकी इसमें कुछ स्टडी वगैरह हुई थी, बाकी देख लेना यार जो भी है. क्लियर एवरीवन? चलिए अगली पे आते हैं. दिस इज द वैक्सीन आई वाज टेलिंग यू, डेंग वैक्सिया. इट इज अंडर ट्रायल, अभी बनी नहीं है. Recently, it has got approval from US Food and Drug Administration. तो अभी ट्रायल पे ही चल रही है. And who developed this? WHO, World Health Organization. Because we know developing countries and LDCs, they cannot do research and development. इसके लिए हमने एक बॉडी बनाई वर्ल्ड लेवल पर जिसका नाम है WHO. WHO basically carry out research and development on medicines, on vaccines, which affects डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज. तो डेवलप कंट्री अपना काम कर सकती है, दे हैव कैपेसिटी. डेवलपिंग कंट्री लाइक अफ्रीका फॉर एग्जांपल, अफ्रीका में जीका वैक्सीन हो गई, आपकी इबोला वैक्सीन हो गई, किसने बनाई? WHO ने बनाया. तो WHO वर्क फॉर द कंट्रीज व्हिच कैन नॉट वर्क फॉर देमसेल्फ. दैट इज व्हाई यू हैव द वर्ल्ड गवर्नेंस सिस्टम. क्लियर? एंड व्हाट काइंड ऑफ वैक्सीन इज डेंग वैक्सिया? प्लीज रिमेंबर, इट इज लाइव एटेन्यूएटेड डेंगी वायरल वैक्सीन, ये क्या होता है? 3 टाइप होते हैं वैक्सीन के. फर्स्ट इज कॉल्ड इनएक्टिवेटेड वैक्सीन. इसमें क्या होता है? वी टेक द माइक्रोब. जैसे हमारी कुछ वैक्सीन थी, आई थिंक तो नाम भूल गया अब तो मैं, वट एवर वैक्सीन वी वर एडमिनिस्टर, उनमें से एक थी ये वाली इनएक्टिवेटेड वैक्सीन. इसमें क्या होता है? वी विल टेक कोरोना वायरस, we will kill that coronavirus or reduce it to impotency by using some chemical or heat or radiation. Take the virus, subject it to heat, radiation or chemical, it will reduce its impotency to kill you. आप बीमार पड़ेंगे लेकिन मरेंगे नहीं. So that is called inactivated. Either you kill the virus or you basically weaken it to impotency. Then we introduce that virus in your body. As soon as we introduce that virus, your body start to develop immune reaction. तो इससे क्या होता है? When real virus will enter in your body, your body will already have defense mechanism. को समझ में आया? That's how the inactivated works. Second is recombinant. Recombinant में क्या होता है? Whenever a virus, bacteria, whatever enters in your body, they have something called antigen. Antigen means antibody generators. This is simple sense में समझते हैं. For example, there is a person who came and slapped you. So what is the antigen here? That person's body, face, body structure, that is antigen. So whenever you will see a person with similar characteristic, आपको ये वही तो नहीं है, आपको समझ में आया? That is how recombinant works. Recombinants में you are not taking the virus, you are taking the factors that create reaction in your body. Virus को नहीं इंजेक्ट करेंगे हम, only उन factors को pick करेंगे from the virus which create reaction and will inject in your body. So इसमें you are administering a more or less dead virus. Here you are injecting only antigen of that virus, not the virus itself. Last होती है आपके पास live virus vaccine. इसमें हम क्या करते हैं? We basically reduce the capability of virus to reproduce. And how virus reproduce? कुछ को आइडिया है? पहले बताइए, वायरस लिविंग है नॉन लिविंग है? ये बीच में है कहीं पे, ठीक है. वायरस के पास क्या होता है? इट डज नॉट हैव इट्स ओन मेटाबॉलिज्म. जैसे मैंने मॉस्किटो का बताया ना, मॉस्किटो नीड योर ब्लड फॉर कैरिंग आउट द प्रोक्रिएशन. सेम होता है इस केस में. वायरस इफ हो सकता है यहाँ पे भी बहुत से वायरस पड़े होंगे, बट दे आर इनएक्टिवेटेड बिकॉज दे डू नॉट हैव देयर ओन मेटाबॉलिज्म. द सेकंड, फॉर एग्जांपल, आई टच दिस, हियर देयर इज अ वायरस एंड आई फॉर एग्जांपल टच माय फेस, इट विल गेट इनटू माय बॉडी समहाउ. In that process, when it gets into your body, it will get to your cells. Your cells have the mechanism. जो आप survive करते हो cells की वजह से करते हैं. It enters into the cell, use the cell's structure as its own metabolism, and it break the cell. वायरस क्या करता है? आपके सेल का मेटाबॉलिज्म इस्तेमाल करके अपने आप को सर्वाइव करता है, and it keeps on replicating itself. It keeps on infected your cell, kill your cell, and keep on reproducing itself. So हम क्या करते हैं? We introduce a live virus, but a slow replicating version. Means the frequency with which virus will multiply shall be less than the frequency at which you will generate antibodies. अगर उससे ज्यादा होगी तो आप गए. So what we do is we make sure that virus is alive. It will replicate also. It will kill your cells. But its ability to kill the cell will be less than your ability to reproduce the cell. Clear to everyone? अब इसमें नुकसान क्या होता है? नुकसान होता है वो लोग जिनका वीक इम्यून सिस्टम है. अब आपने एडमिनिस्टर कर दी, अब उसका निकला वीक इम्यून सिस्टम, तो वो तो गया. दिस वाज द प्रॉब्लम वी फेस्ड इन केस ऑफ कोरोना वैक्सीन ऑल्सो. बहुत सी डेथ हुई है जो कोरोना वैक्सीन के कारण ही हो गई, बिकॉज दे वर एडमिनिस्टर्ड टू द पीपल हु हैड अ वीक इम्यून सिस्टम and their body could not cope up with the virus's activity. Clear to everyone? Chaliye fine. Please remember all these 3 types. And what kind of type dengue vaccia is? Live attenuated means कौन सा type इन तीनों में से? Third one. Dengue vaccia is the third one type, live virus vaccine. Clear everyone? चलिए fine. बाकी आप पढ़ते रहना. अगला देखते हैं. डोगरा आर्किटेक्चर. Dogra architecture, arts and culture basically. So who are these Dogra people? Srinagar. So they were some Maharaja or whatever of Srinagar. Recently, the government of Srinagar, municipality something of Srinagar, Smart City Limited, and a body known as INAC INTAC, sorry, Indian National Trust for Arts and Cultural Heritage. This body is a kind of NGO which works for preservation of heritage in India. So Srinagar Smart City, along with INTAC, is basically preserving Ganj लिखा है ना सर ये? Ganj Market. Maharaja Ganj Market is a market in Srinagar which has heritage. जैसे आपका श्रीनगर कह रहा हूँ, श्रीनगर ही दो यार, वो कौन सा जयपुर आई बिलीव, जयपुर इज नोन एज पिंक सिटी और समथिंग. वहां पे बहुत से स्ट्रक्चर जो है ना वो बहुत पुराने हैं, तो उसी में दुकानें बना दी गई हैं. दे आर बीइंग प्रिजर्व. सिमिलर तरीके से मार्केट यहाँ पे, इट्स द ओल्ड मार्केट बिल्ड ड्यूरिंग डोगरास टाइम. सो दे आर ट्राइंग टू रीस्टोर इट टू द ओरिजिनल फॉर्म, बिकॉज बहुत से लोग हु आर वर्किंग देयर दे हैव मैनिपुलेटेड इट, कुछ ना कुछ बना दिया है वहां पे, तो दे विल रिमूव देम एंड विल रीस्टोर इट्स ओरिजिनल सेंस. दैट इज व्हाट इट इज. जल्दी से इसके फीचर देख लेते हैं. सो व्हाट इज डोगरा आर्किटेक्चर? Whenever you're doing arts and culture, I always say arts and culture should be the last point of study, because उसकी कोई लिमिट नहीं है. आर्ट्स एंड कल्चर, एंटायर आर्ट्स एंड कल्चर पुट टुगेदर, और बाकी सारा सिलेबस एक तरफ बराबर बैठता है. और आर्ट्स एंड कल्चर इज हाईली फैक्चुअल, बहुत ड्रामा क्रिएट करता है. तो आई वुड सजेस्ट डू इट एज अ लास्ट पॉइंट. समटाइम यूपीएससी को आर्ट्स एंड कल्चर में मजा आ जाता है, वो बहुत सारे क्वेश्चन पूछ मारते हैं उसमें, क्या होता है प्रीलिम्स में भी, समटाइम इन मेंस आल्सो. तो बट नॉनदलेस आर्ट्स एंड कल्चर को मेक योर लास्ट पॉइंट ऑफ स्टडी, बिकॉज देयर इज नो लिमिट्स विद इन दिस. द बेस्ट सजेशन इज नो फ्यू पॉइंट्स अबाउट एवरीथिंग. अगर आप डोगरा आर्किटेक्चर कर रहे हैं तो ये नहीं कि पूरा पन्ना भर दिया, नहीं. हैव फ्यू पॉइंट्स, वेरी एसेंशियल पॉइंट्स, कि व्हाट इज डोगरा आर्किटेक्चर, वेयर इट ओरिजिनेटेड, एंड वेरी 2 or 3 की फीचर्स. बस इससे क्या होगा, यू विल हैव एट मोस्ट हाफ अ पेज. ऐसे बहुत से आर्किटेक्चर किस को करोगे? सबको समझ में आया? चलिए देखते हैं क्या है डोगरा आर्किटेक्चर. इट्स अ फ्यूजन ऑफ हिंदू, इस्लामिक एंड सिख स्टाइल्स, एंड इट वाज फाउंडेड बाय महाराजा गुलाब सिंह. ठीक है, जम्मू कश्मीर में था ये. एंड व्हाट आर द एलिमेंट्स, क्या हो रहा है ये, कहाँ बैठा है? So what are the distinctive features? Yes, Dogra architecture uses something called Nanak Shahi bricks. Nanak Shahi is a word derived from the founder of Sikhism, Guru Nanak. Nanak Shahi brick. What is the feature? They are thin, rectangular and reddish. So remember, Dogra architecture is a fusion of Hindu, Islamic and Sikh civilizations. It uses Nanak Shahi bricks, which are thin, rectangular and reddish. It also uses wooden beams having carvings and paintings. It uses wooden planks. ठीक है, it has courtyards, and it also have mihrabs. Mihrabs, pointed architecture. Mihrab is a feature of Islamic architecture, and it has spires, shikhar and hemisphere in onion shape, which is हिंदू आर्किटेक्चर. आपको पता है हिंदू आर्किटेक्चर में फीचर में होता है आपका स्पायर्स. टेम्पल्स में आपको दिखते हैं ना, टेम्पल्स में दैट लीफ काइंड ऑफ कोन, सॉरी ओनियन शेप कोन्स यू हैव द टॉप. किसी भी टेम्पल में आप देख सकते हैं, एंड दे हैव अ स्पायर आल्सो. दीज आर फीचर ऑफ हिंदू आर्किटेक्चर. एंड हैविंग पॉइंटेड आर्चेस काइंड ऑफ थिंग इज अ फीचर ऑफ दिस. आपने ऐसा देखो ना, इस तरीके से होते हैं आर्चेस, ऐसे करके जो होते हैं पॉइंटेड आर्चेस काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स. जैसे ताजमहल में है बहुत सारे, ताजमहल में साइड्स में अगर आप देखेंगे तो दे आर पार्ट ऑफ इस्लामिक. And Dogra architecture has all of them. It has Nanak Shahi bricks. It has Islamic mihrabs. It has Hindu shikhars and hemispherical and onion-shaped domes. ठीक है, बस इतना ही बहुत है. बाकी ये भी रख सकते हैं. It has sandstone and pebbles, and it has jharoka, projected balconies that you have, which is a feature of Rajasthani architecture. तो तीनों फीचर आप याद रखिएगा, domes, arches एंड क्या बोलते हैं, झरोकास, मैरब्स. ठीक है, चलिए फाइन, बाकी देख लेना जो भी है. और कोई बचा है? कार्बन नैनो फ्लोरेट्स. अब ये क्या ड्रामा है? इट इज इन कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी, पर्टिकुलरली विद रिस्पेक्ट टू सोलर टेक्नोलॉजी. यू नो वी आर मूविंग टुवर्ड रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी. गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया टारगेट इज 100 गीगावाट. टारगेट था वैसे 2022 का, 3 का था, 2 का था, 2022 का था आई बिलीव. दे हैड अ टारगेट ऑफ 2022 टू डेवलप 100 गीगावाट. हुआ नहीं पूरा, ठीक है, कोशिश तो करी. तो इसमें फायदा, इशू क्या आता है? इशू आता है कन्वर्जन इफिशियंसी. द करंट सोलर पैनल्स दैट वी यूज, दे हैव सिलिकॉन वेफर्स, and they are not very good at conversion. I think it is around 40 or 45% something. So whatever sun rays comes, they convert only 40 to 45%. And plus to that, they cannot convert energy every time. You require good sun rays. मान लेते there is a cloudy season, there is winters, and particularly Himalayas में तो होता रहता है बारिश and all. So they have supply of electricity, but intermediate supply. If summers में they have more supply, and sunny weathers में they have more supply. So to deal with this problem, Bombay में, I think Bombay कौन सा college था यार? कहाँ लिखा है? नीचे कहीं लिखा है? पहली लाइन पे लिखा हुआ है क्या? पहला स्किप कर देते हैं. हाँ, IIT बॉम्बे में तो they have basically developed this system. In this, it can absorb sunlight in 3 different frequencies and convert them into heat with an impressive efficiency. 87%. बहुत अच्छी है. From 45 to 46%, now you are having 87% efficiency. Very good efficiency. So they are likely to be used. ये कुछ features हैं, इन्हें रट लेना. But let's see how they are made. There is something called dendritic fibrous nanosilicates. Simply remember nanosilicates. Fibrous means, you know, fiber forms. So they have dendritic means like this. जैसे branches देखिए आपने tree की. Tree has a lot of branches. They are called dendritic form basically. So dendritic fibrous fiber form में and have a lot of branches. Dendritic fibrous nanosilicate material. It's a white material. When it is subjected to heat in a furnace along with acetylene gas. इतना एग्जैक्ट याद मत रखिएगा, बस इतना याद रखिए. There is something called dendritic fibrous nanosilicate, which when exposed to a heated chamber with a gas, they convert into deep black carbon nanofluorides. Simple process. Take this fibrous and introduce them into a heated chamber, and you will get something called deepest black carbon nanofluorides having conical structure. Conical से advantage क्या होता है? They trap the sun rays. आपने optical fibers देखे होंगे, इसलिए मैं आपको सजेस्ट किया whenever you are using daily life में जो यूज कर रहे हो उसके बारे में हमेशा जान के रखो. साइंस एंड टेक के क्वेश्चन वहीं से बनते हैं. जैसे ऑप्टिकल फाइबर्स क्या होती है? यस, ऐसे होता है. दिस इज ग्लास सिस्टम यू हैव. ऑप्टिकल फाइबर्स में ऐसे रेस चलती है. They are unable to escape. Internal reflection बोलते हैं इसे. That is the advantage here. Conical structure. This fibrous has a conical structure. So once a rays enter into this, they keep on striking here and there. They keep on reflecting within the cone. They do not leave it. जो अभी हमारे पास nanosilicates, sorry, currently the silicon wafers that we use, the sun rays enters, they convert, and some escapes. इसमें escape नहीं है. तभी कन्वर्जन रेट कितना है? 87%. सबको समझ में आया? तो वी हैव अंडरस्टूड हाउ टू मेक देम. यू टेक dendritic fibrous nanosilicates, introduce them into a heat furnace with acetylene gas, and you get your carbon black nanofluorides with a conical structure. And how they convert sun rays into heat and electricity? Because they have a conical structure, they trap the sun rays within themselves. And that's how they convert. And what kind of rays they can use? Infrared, visible and ultraviolet. क्योंकि जो अभी हमारे सिलिकॉन वेफर्स हैं, they can only use visible and ultraviolet. वो इंफ्रारेड पे काम नहीं करते हैं. ठीक है, एडवांटेज सबको समझ में आया? तो वेरी गुड. आई थिंक जैसे जैसे बनेगा काम हो जाएगा. बाकी सिग्निफिकेंस तो समझ जाओ. खत्म. हाँ, नहीं, सनरेज तो होनी चाहिए ना. सनरेज तो होनी चाहिए, बट ये कि इसकी एफिशिएंसी बहुत अच्छी है. हाँ, अगर सनरेज कोई बादल में भी सनरेज पेनिट्रेट कर जाती है. चलिए, क्लियर एवरीवन? ऑनलाइन पीपल, एनी क्वेश्चन यू हैव? मोदी जी से पैसे? हाँ, मोदी जी और मैं सेम ही है ना. फकीर आदमी है जो लेके चल पड़ते हैं. चलिए, बाय बाय देन, वी विल मीट अगेन. हैप्पी दिवाली टू एवरीवन. एंजॉय. वेरी वेलकम. माइक बंद कर दूं.